Life is always full of challenges. And in today's modern world, it has become more challenging. There are a lot of stressors in our life, especially when we move from one country to the other. As more and more technology gets introduced, we need to start adopting certain practices so that we can keep some sense to the madness which is going on. One such technique is meditation. And I'm a big fan of meditation, but I'm novice. I do not understand meditation at all. Today we have with us Rohan Zaveri. Uh, Rohan is from India, but he now works in a pharmaceutical company in US in Boston, and he is a expert practitioner of something called as sky breath meditation. So, in today's podcast, we are going to go deeper into understanding what this sky breath meditation is, how we can adopt this and use it as an instrument to simplify our lives. So, welcome, Rohan, and welcome to the House of Royce.
Thank you so much, Subir. I'm, as always, grateful to be here and in your presence. And I think it's a very timely and crucial topic that we are countering. So I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Okay, all right. So, let me straight jump into the topic. Tell me something about what this sky breath meditation is. To be honest, I heard about this for the first time in my life from you. I knew a little bit of meditation. I had read a lot about meditation earlier, but I never knew about sky breath meditation. So, what is sky breath meditation and how is it different from other forms of meditation?
Great question. So the sky breath meditation, the sky stands for Sudarshan Kriya Yoga. In its essence, it's a rhythmic based breathing technique. Um, Now, how does it help? What it is? Uh, See, there are rhythms in nature, right? You have different seasons. You have summer, then winter, then monsoon. There's rhythms in nature in the day-to-day life. The sun rises at a particular time, it sets at a particular time. Similarly, there's rhythm in your body. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you eat, do work, and sleep. Similarly, there's rhythms in the pattern of your thoughts. There are rhythms in the pattern of your emotions. Now, what this breathing technique does is it harmonizes the rhythms in your body to its core. So, at the level of your body, at the level of your mind, at the level of your intellect, all the way to the level of yourself. And what you experience is a deep rest and that inner joy. And I think it's a technique, as I said, it's a rhythmic based technique. It is quite intense. So when you first learn this technique, it's learned through a 3-day workshop, and a teacher initiates you into this rhythm, and then it becomes a part of your daily life. You can practice it every day in the morning, or in the evening, in the afternoon. It takes 25 minutes, and it's a wonderful practice that I have been doing since past 15 years, and
Wow.
the impact it had on me was so profound that I wanted to share it with others. And we can talk more about the impact. And that led me to me becoming a teacher now, and I teach this technique.
Amazing. So I am still trying to figure out how is it different from other forms of meditation?
Well, if you look at other forms of meditation, there are meditation based a mantra, right? Where you take a mantra and that leads you into meditations. There is guided meditation where you hear someone speak and then go into meditation. This is a meditation which is based on the rhythms of your breath. So you're breathing in a specific rhythm, and it's a cyclic way that you breathe, and that leads you into a state after once you finish it that you uh, naturally drift into meditation. Because I've heard so many people say that, I cannot meditate. It's hard for me to sit still. Well, the sky breath meditation is so amazing that once you practice it, afterwards you effortlessly slip into meditation, and those thoughts in your mind, all those just seem to calm down, and you experience deep rest. And it's a technique to experience. I would love to just give a glimpse of it, but as I said, it's very intense. So that's why it's taught through a workshop, and then it becomes something that you can incorporate in your life.
Awesome. I wanted to understand for my sake the whole journey of meditation for a layman. So, for example, what I used to do was, and I used to, um, when I was a kid, I used to go to some yogasana classes because I had asthma and nobody knew what to do about this. There was no medicine, nothing, even at that point in time. Even right now, there are no medicines which can cure asthma. So they got me into some yogasana classes, and that lady taught us pranayama. And in pranayama, she would ask me to, close this nostril first, then inhale, then close this nostril, and then exhale from this. And uh, it was quite interesting experience for me because after that, she would ask me to sit and focus on my breath. Okay. And then you just focus on your breath. Of course, all the thoughts come in, but you don't fight those thoughts. Just focus on your breath, observe those thoughts, let them come, let them go. And it used to be tough, but over a period of time I realized that I started enjoying that. I don't think that I continued with that practice for long. I should have. I made a mistake at that. But when you talk about sky breath meditation, what I used to do and what you teach in your workshops, are these extremely different?
The premise is it's a breathing based technique, right? So you are there's focus and attention on your breath, and so in that way it's similar, and in another way it's also very different. I don't know how I can. I'm thinking of ways to put it into words, uh, but it is at the end, as you mentioned, a breath based technique. So you are breathing in and out. There is a focus on your breath, which leads you into meditation or a meditative state. It's done. It's as usually meditation practices are. It's followed before by different pranayamas. There's three-stage pranayamas. There's Pastrika, and then you slip into the sky breath meditation, and then go into that meditative state. So as you mentioned, there is pranayama. It's usually because many techniques that you'll see, pranayama is something that is done before meditation, because you are sort of clearing your respiratory tract. You are increasing your lung capacity, your breathing capacity, and going into that state physically and mentally to prepare your body to go into a meditative state.
Interesting. And I agree with you. I think it might be very difficult for you to explain the differences in depth because I think it's more experiential rather than something which can be explained in words when it comes to your technique. And there are many such techniques in meditation itself and yogasana itself, which actually cannot be verbalized. They have to be experienced so that you can do it in the right way. And that's quite interesting because I think what we try to generally do is that we try to define something using the limited uh, resource what we have, what we call as English words, and
Yes.
then we try to give a complete picture of an experience, which is nonsense, right? So
I love the way you put it, of it being an experiential technique, and that reminds me as to how I can describe it. One way is to share what uh, I have heard from people who I have taught, and people who have practiced, and one of it was really wonderful. They said that did this technique and I continued it for a while, and then out of no reason, I was just smiling. And it's not like smiling as in, like a crazy person, but there was an inner sense of joy within me. It felt like I was connected to my inner self. And I was happy. It was like I was back to my natural state. You know how a child is? Y- Something might happen, they'll cry, but again, they'll be the natural self. They'll be happy, and they felt that I connected back to my child that was I had forgotten years ago. So that was one of the experience. I think for me, it was so profound because this technique helped me gain inner confidence and courage. Everyone's experience of meditation is different. This is again an evidence-based breathing technique. It helps you with dealing with stress, with dealing with people with blood pressure, hypertension. It decreases it. It's also taught to veterans, so it helps with people who have trauma. So many benefits to it. But for me, it was much more than just reducing stress. It helped me give that inner courage and self confidence that helped me when I was transitioning to a major point in my life coming from India to to the US. And being an introvert as I was, very shy, when I came to the States, I had to, man, I felt I was thrown into a wilderness and didn't know where I had to go. I had to come out of my comfort zone. I had to socialize with people. I had to know the things and systems and processes. And that is where this technique sort of was at the core of it. And I could rely on it whenever I felt that I don't know what to do and I don't know where to go.
Interesting. Tell me, where did it all start? How did you get introduced to sky meditation? What happened? Is there a story behind it?
Yeah, so it goes back to I think middle school, where my mom introduced me to this, and this was at a time where she had practiced this technique before. She was always a big on meditation, so came across it, went into a workshop, did this technique, and she was like, "Wow, this is something amazing!" And she's like, "Rohan, you should do it." And in the beginning, I was like, "No, this is." I wasn't interested in meditation. I felt meditation was a concept for people later in life. What will I do? I'm good. But she persisted, and then I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot, and I did it. And I remember my first experience of sky breath. Uh, when I came out of the meditation, I felt like never before. Uh, I don't know. I When I opened my eyes, the world seemed much brighter. I felt that there was a pause uh, in my thoughts, in my mind. I could be. I always heard about the concept of being in the present moment, but at that point, I felt that I was in the present moment, um, and I was just so happy and natural. I was, me. And it helped me to be me for a long period of time. The usual stressors that I had, well, a big one for me at that time was um, I was very scared when it came to speak in front of people. And my mom saw that, and she was like, Rohan, you should try this technique. And I did that, and it it helped me to not worry about what people are saying and those judgments that I had in my mind that would make me scared, and the fear that I had in going out. It sort of you know toned that veil that I had created around myself. So yeah, that was my experience, and then I was like, wow, this is great, I should continue doing it, and the journey started that way.
Nice. Let me ask you a deeper question now. Um, so, what is your goal with meditation? And let me explain this question. Some people do meditation because they want to relieve stress. They want to be immune to stress. Some people do meditation because they want to be sharper in the brain. Somewhere there is this concept that if you do meditation every day, your brain becomes very sharp. All right. Some people do meditation because uh, of spiritual reasons. They want to grow spiritually and come in, become one with whatever oneness they call. It might be God, or it can be a single source energy, or whatever. What is your goal with meditation?
That's a great question. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think the way I look at meditation is it's connecting me to my true self, um, and bringing me deep relaxation. And while it's doing it, it's also sort of pumping me with huge amount of energy so that when I start my day, um, I'm not only relaxed, I'm also energized. Um, and it's all about your energy, which the Sanskrit word for it is your prana. So it increases my prana. And when you all the things that you mentioned are somehow related back to your prana, because when your inner energy levels or your prana is high, then not only does it impact the way that you do work, but it also impact the people around you, right? So I'm not only doing meditation for myself, I'm also doing it because it improves the connections and the conversations I have with people around me and the impact I have on people with people around me.
Okay. So in short, if I try to summarize what you're trying to do is you're trying to make it easier for the prana to flow within your body, and so that it has impact on your interaction with the world around you. Uh,
Yes,
okay, all right. But all right, okay, no, it's not a but. I wanted to go a bit more deeper on that particular thing because I read a lot. I read a lot, and most of the time these are all theoretical concepts, right?
yes,
Because I haven't experienced, because I haven't done it, there is no way that I can say that these concepts are correct or incorrect. All right. So let me check one of these concepts. The way I understood prana was that um, it's like an electric current flowing through a wire. And when an electric current flows through a wire, the only thing that stops, not stops or impedes its movement is the resistance within the wire, right? So less the resistance, greater will be the flow. More the resistance, less will be the flow. Now, in one of the books, what I read was these wires are actually known as nadis. And it seems there are thousands and thousands of nadis, which are thinner than even your hair, and they together make your body. And there are confluences of these nadis where it's like bunches of wires intersecting each other, and these confluences are known as chakras. And it seems there are 108 chakras or what, I don't remember that exact number, of which there are these seven important chakras which are lying along your spinal column. And there are these three important, very, very important nadis, which which go through these chakras, which are known as Ida, Pingala, Sushumna. I mean, the intersection of Ida and Pingala is the Sushumna. So it looks like a chromosome, basically. All right. The two strands of chromosome, and wherever they are intersecting, not exactly intersecting, but the bends. Uh, if you align them, all these bending points, they will form a single line, and that's what your Sushumna is. But this is theory, right? And if you go deeper in that particular theory, what it says is with meditation, as you go with in higher levels of meditation, all what it tries to do is your life is based on that prana which is flowing through all these wirings, right? More the resistance, less will be the prana, less the resistance, more will be the prana. So you basically try to reduce the resistance by doing meditation. Is my understanding in the right direction, or am I misinterpreting by creating some nonsense analogies like wire and electricity?
No, I think what the one of the main dimension of it is related to prana and the energy and the flow of energy, and it is again, just to share their, their, as you said, there's 75,000 nadis, and these are energy, sort of, you can call it, uh, how do you say it, like energy wires. It's not physically present. If you cut a body, you won't see these nadis, and you won't see the chakras, right? They are energy centers. They are within your body, and it's like, when you I think this was the concept shown, if I remember it correctly, in Avatar, where the way of, the Avatar, the animation series. I'm not talking about Avatar movie, the Airbender Avatar. And in that, the kid who is the main hero, he goes to a sage, uh, because he cannot go into that state of the avatar state. Um, and that sage tells him about chakras and energy, and he's like, I don't know what this means. And the sage then shows him a water that's running through a creek. And he says, imagine the water as energy, and the water is flowing. Now, if there is a lot of dirt in that pond, then what happens is the flow of water is restricted. Then he takes a stick and he removes the leaves and the dirt and everything, and then the water flows smoothly, right?
In order to master the avatar state, you must open all the chakras. And tell me everything you know about chakras.
What are chakras?
Oh, I see. I guess we'll start with the basics. The water flows through this creek much like the energy flows through your body. As you see, there are several pools where the water swirls around before flowing on. These pools are like our chakras.
So chakras are pools of spiraling energy in our bodies?
Exactly. If nothing else were around, this creek would flow pure and clear. However, life is messy and things tend to fall in the creek. And then what happens?
The creek can't flow?
Yes, but if we open the paths between the pools,
The energy flows.
So that is what, in essence, it is. It is the flow of energy, and having the energy flow through all these different chakras and through all these different nadis effortlessly.
Wow. No, great analogy. Uh, so what you're saying is the meditation might act like that stick, which is removing that dirt so that the flow of water is uninterrupted. It goes smoothly, right? Now,
Yes.
uh, okay, I am going to go into a bit of contradiction over here. Uh, Based on my understanding of physiology of human body. So, when it comes to our life, we are primarily controlled by the sympathetic system and the parasympathetic system, right? The fight or flight response, which is sympathetic, and then the repair mode is your parasympathetic. So when you are waking up in the morning and when you're going for work, primarily it's your sympathetic system which is driving you. And that's the reason why your heart beats faster as compared to when you're sleeping, because sleeping is the repair mode where everything which has happened in your body during the daytime, all the toxins which has accumulated, all the waste which has gathered, that is flushed out of the body when you're sleeping, right? Now, when you're sleeping, what exactly happens is your parasympathetic system kicks in, and another thing happens. You slow down. You just you are in complete. You are not trying to think. Yes, thoughts come. These are subconscious thoughts. There are dreams, but in general, your body activity is much lower as compared to what's happening when you're awake, right? So your parasympathetic is more dominant when you're sleeping. When you're meditating, and if you're meditating right, what I have been told is that the amount of relaxation you get from meditation is of far higher quality as compared to what you get from sleep. In fact, I know of people who sleep like 3 hours and then they meditate for 2 hours, and for them it's like 8 hours of relaxation instead of 5 hours of relaxation. It kinds of uh, multiplies the amount of relaxation your body is going to get. And I started by saying that I'm going to go with a contradiction. The contradiction here is that the slower you are going, it allows you, somehow it is removing all these toxins or all these obstructions or the things that are going to interrupt the flow of water. All these things are getting washed away or removed from the body. And this is how I am seeing meditation, right? Am I seeing in the right way?
I 100%. I think that is in essence what meditation does, because see, in your daily life now you have many, if you want to call them stressors in a way, um, and these stressors sort of impair um, the flow of energy in that aspect. But in a more physical aspect, more science related aspect, is what leads to so many chronic health problems, which could be obesity, um, high blood pressure, mental issues, such as anxiety, depression, which are so prevalent right now. So meditation, in a way, by sort of clearing those stressors, activating your parasympathetic nervous system, taking you into that rest and digest mode, um, calms your body, calms your sympathetic nervous system. And in a more, um, if you look at it from the Ayurvedic perspective or the Eastern medicine perspective, it enhances that flow of energy within you, which revitalizes your body and makes you, feel not only relaxed. It's That's why I keep mentioning when I was sharing my experience, the deep relaxation. So it's not only helps you feel that deeply relaxed, but also energizes you. And I love that you brought in with that. The concept of removing toxins, because I read this that 90% of your toxins are removed through breath. But breath is something that is so, we are not even aware of it until you exercise or you try to, run to catch a bus. You're not even aware of your breath. It's something that we have been doing since we were born and will probably be the last thing we do before we die. Um, there's so much power that can be harnessed from a breath. Uh, Not only does it remove toxins, breath is the way. It's basically, you can think of it as a string, and your mind as a kite. And then using your breath, you can manage your mind, manage your thoughts and emotions. So yes, I'm sort of taking us into attention, but it's very the scientific Western and Eastern perspective of meditation and breath are so profound, um, that and the more I know you're trying to look at these theoretical aspects, and then you're sort of seeing how my experience has been. I would also like to tell you that Zubi, you should experience it yourself as a, because I can share my experience, but I think after this podcast, one of my goals would be if I can get you to meditate. I think that would be perfect.
Yeah, yeah, no, I will. I will. I need to just ignore the madness which is right now going on in my professional life and try to devote some time towards, you know, focusing on slowing down myself. And this is where I think again the Western philosophies and the Eastern philosophies, they kind of completely diverge. So for example, uh, uh, you see, in meditation or in any of the Eastern philosophies, there is a whole lot of emphasis on not thinking, trying not to think, trying not to learn, or overthink or whatever, uh, so, and it's pretty hard to do, in the sense, just sit and do not think, you will think. You try not thinking of a particular topic, you will think exactly on that particular topic, right? So and I look at it from not only Indian perspective, even the Chinese systems, or the Japanese systems, they also talk about this. Keep quiet, calm down, don't think. All right, do nothing, just do nothing, try doing nothing, slow down, right? Whereas the Western philosophy is all about, you know if you're free, read something, think something, debate, talk, whatever, lots of overload of thoughts. That's one way, one divergence. And similar kind of divergence you will find even with whatever we say as healthy activities. So if you look at India, you have yogasana. I haven't seen, or I have seen majority of the yogasana practices are all about slow body movements, which are basically stretching yourself. None of them are extremely fast except for few forms of hatha yoga.
Yes.
But those are minority. Majority of these yogasana practices are extremely slow, and it's all about patience, stretch, take time, do not over burden your body. You feel the pain, leave it at that. I have read Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, and it talks about this, that the moment you feel discomfort, leave. It's
Yes.
fine. All right, but just be persistent about it. That's all about it. Same is with your Chinese practices. All right. Whatever the traditional Chinese health practices are, I don't know what do you call those, where you just keep balancing your entire body, and these are slow movements, fine movements. What is that? I forgot it. It's
Oh,
whatever. I
I
forgot it.
I forgot the name as well. I used to see people do it in
Yes.
Boston a lot, but now it's not coming to my mind as well.
There are classes over here which
Yes.
that, but those are all extremely slow movements. And it's like actually meditation. In Yogasana, you're actually focusing on those body parts. Your entire attention is over there. You're not thinking anything. You're thinking about your breath. You're taking the breath and then doing a movement, leaving the breath and then doing another movement. It requires a lot of concentration. It's nearly like meditation. Okay. Whereas Western way of being fit is go to the gym, lift heavy weights, run, and then I used to debate a lot. I have written a lot on my website. I have a website called wisethalamus.com. I keep writing uh, tangential medical things over there. And one of the things I thought I I uncovered was that there is something called as an inverted U-shaped curve when it comes to exercise, which means that initially activity is good. After some time, it is okay. I mean, it additional activity is not going to give additional health benefits, but after an inflection point, if you are more active, if you push more, it's going to be deleterious to your health. And now you have studies which are showing that actually overexertion is deleterious to heart, it's deleterious to, it increases the inflammatory levels. We have reports from Gujarat recently where a lot of people died while playing dandiya because of overexertion. There was sudden heart attacks over there.
At least 10 people have reportedly died while performing Garba in Gujarat in 24 hours. The India Today reported on October 21st that the age of victims ranged from teenagers to middle-aged people, with the youngest being a 13-year-old boy from Dabhoi in Baroda. The state government issued an alert to all government hospitals and community health centers near Garba venues, urging them to be on high alert.
We have singers going on stage, doing exertional activities, singing loudly, and then suddenly dying. But uh, I wanted to take your opinion on this particular part where we are talking about this divergence between how the West sees what healthy is and how East sees how health should be defined.
And I think that divergence is now slowly converting into a convergence.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
becoming a rumble. Yeah.
yes, yes, because the West is also seeing that with this fast-paced life, there needs to be a pause, and there are examples, many examples of how people from the West come to India or the East and learn about these practices to sort of center themselves. Um, so in life, there is a need for both. Yes, the West was, I think, focused on just one aspect, but I think it's changing now. I see so many places or now on the West think about there's yoga, there's meditation. I got certified as a meditation teacher since I was in the States, there was a meditation retreat center in Boone, North Carolina, where I went to get my training and become certified. Um, and had so many when I was going through that training, I had the 70 other people with me who were getting trained. All international people, I mean, from the states, across the states, who came. So I think there is a wave of change. There is recognition that yes, we do need that pause in our life, uh, and it's coming, right? So I think that there was a divergence, but the awareness is increasing across the globe regarding the benefits of Eastern medicine, and it's slowly coming together. So one of the perks of globalization.
Sure. And one of the downsides of globalization, which I would like to point right now, is the moment we migrate from one country to the other. And that's how I started by saying that when you in today's world, when you're migrating from one part of the country, one country to the other, or when technologies come in and allow globalization, it increases the stress level to something else. For example, uh, and these stressors are at three levels. The first level is actually at the genetic level. Then you have got the physical stressors, then you've got the mental stressors. All right. So, for example, I am a Bengali, which means that for thousands and thousands of years, my ancestors grew up in a place where the staple food was fish and rice. So, my genetic adaptation over these 1,000 years was towards making my machinery in such a way that I'm able to digest fish and rice in the best possible way. Right. So, if I eat fish and rice for my system, it's like smooth, no problem, because the entire system has been shaped in such a way that it's going to accommodate fish and rice. It's going to digest fish and rice, no friction. Okay. But now, the moment I shift from West Bengal to Boston and I start eating burgers and fries, and that becomes my staple diet, for my body, it's a mess. It's a stress because it's completely different. It's not fish and rice. The molecules are completely different. The moment it enters the system, my system is like, who is this? Who is this guy? It's for my system, it's like bacteria and virus entering. And these are like foreign guys. I don't recognize these guys. So there are interactions which I I have studies now. I, I I wish I could share those studies, which show that when you migrate, eventually you catch up with the allergies in that particular country,
Oh,
and these allergies are huge. I mean,
yes.
you won't have any of those pollen allergies or peanut allergy back in India. The moment you move over there, initially you won't, because for a long time we try to eat what we like eating. I mean, initially you will eat clam chowders and whatever over here, but then your body is going to say you're not liking it, so you will try to eat fish and rice again. Right? For me, it's happening right now. I see my wife, she cooks all the time, all the Bengali food, because she doesn't like the food over here. She liked the food at the start. She liked the pizza. She liked steak. It's fine at the start. But now she's like, no, I don't like those. I want to eat what I used to have when I was back in India. So for us, still we are getting that Bengali food which I used to eat back in India. But look at my kid. What's going to happen with him is that as he grows up,
Yes.
right, he will be adopting all the American food. There is nothing wrong with the American food. The problem is his genetic adaptation within one generation cannot change into accommodating American food. It will still be yearning for those fish and rice, but
Yes.
he is growing up with all his American friends. He's going to adopt that particular food, and
Yes.
suddenly you will have food allergy, peanut allergy, gluten insensitivity, lactose intolerance. All this is going to come up. So that's the fear with globalization. That's what I wanted to bring up. And hence, for migrants at least, extremely important, meditate. I mean, I really need to at
Yes.
least teach my kid that, start meditating. We need to slow down. It's gonna be a disaster soon for everyone who have migrated. I have seen my friends' kids developing allergies which they haven't witnessed in their families when they were in India. Have you? What's your experience or thought around this?
As soon as you mentioned allergies, I was going to bring that up because similar, I have also experienced it, and I've seen my friends who didn't have any of those modern allergies when they were back home in India, and then after coming to the States, they started developing it. And some of them here are with family, and they have been here for a long time, and their kids have it if they don't. So when the kids grow up, they get all these allergies. So you're right, the stress can be at various levels, and I think you described it very well. And as you pointed out, that's why, when you have that inner inflammation, the conflict in your body, uh, meditation helps so much with not only removing the mental stress, but also helping your body go through that physical stress that your body is facing.
Sure. I've, so at this point, I want to put one more factor to this entire meditation piece is that uh, when you look at the Western practices, the tendency is to see everything in isolation. So, for example, if you want to treat rheumatoid arthritis, a Western scientist will break it down into, all right, there is this rheumatoid arthritis. I see rheumatoid factor. I see anti-citrullinated peptide antibodies, which means that the B cells are activated. Let's kill the B cell. That's the solution, right? And it's way narrow or too narrow way of solving a problem. It might be extremely profitable at the end of the day. I get that point, but it's not a holistic way of looking at the problem. We are not solving the problem. The B cell is creating these antibodies. There is a bigger problem going on at the background. We are not aware of that. We are just trying to solve a symptom. It's like giving paracetamol to fever without understanding that there is something else going on which is causing the fever, right? It works. Of course it will work because your pain is gone. You feel great because it's killing the symptoms. Now, why I'm saying this is, even for meditation, you are rightly saying that Westerners are also adopting it. But are they looking at meditation in isolation? So, for example, here I talked about B cell. What the scientists are doing is that they're looking at an isolation rather than considering the entire body and trying to see what's going wrong. Ayurveda will do it in a very different way. I am not an Ayurveda trained doctor, but I have been reading this book called Ashtanga Hridayam. It's amazing. And the way it looks at it is that, whatever the problem is, your body is composed of these three components. There is imbalance. Let's balance them out. The moment you balance them out, everything is
Yes.
going to get cleared. All right. And it's like, I remember somebody giving me this example that uh, if you have a map of India and you cut it into several pieces and ask a kid to join, it will be very difficult. But if on the other side there was a face, all right, it will be easier for the kid to join the face, and you
Yes.
have created the map of India. It's something like that. If you balance out those imbalances, you would have cleared all those problems which are existing in your body. That's the concept what Ayurveda says, right? Similarly, when it comes to meditation, in the eastern side, we see that people follow a lot of practices along with meditation together, right? So there is meditation going on, and then you have fasting practices. You have got a lot of mantras, which I don't think that we have enough time to discuss about how the the rolling of the tongue with the mantras and the frequencies which are created can impact the energy what is there in your which are uh, getting generated in your body, because at the end of the day, whatever you're going to say or maybe think, those are electromagnetic waves. Our body is full of electromagnetic waves. There would be interference, there would be interactions, there would be resonance, right? So coming to the question, are the Westerners looking at meditation in isolation, forgetting that there are a lot of other things which might be really useful along with meditation?
I would say yes, they are, because the perspective from the main perspective from the Western side is looking at meditation as a stress relaxation technique. Well, if you look at it from in India, and the way we practice meditation is so much more than that. It's connecting to your true self, it's connecting to a higher power, to the divine. It's helping in your spiritual growth. So there's so much more to it than just exercise that helps in stress relaxation. Uh, so I think that's there, but again, the way I look at it is, uh, it is their need. That's why they're looking at it that way. For them, stress is the main part in their life with the modern society, the way we are living now. So you want something that helps you counter that, right? It's a need based way of looking at meditation. And at one point, yes, they're missing the bigger picture, but as long as it's helping them uh, tackling this need, I think it's good, because at least there's awareness about it and they are adopting it. And think the next level, once people try it, is then they'll experience it. It's an experiential technique, right? Then they'll see how it helps them in their overall growth, in their spiritual growth, and then they'll connect the dots. So it goes back. I think I shared it with you before. If you go to a kid who is hungry and give them shelter, they won't value shelter. They want food. So for most of the Western society, the need right now is that they need something to counter stress. And meditation does have a facet to how it helps reduce stress. So that's how they are adopting it. But then once they adopt it, I think they'll see the bigger picture, and there's so much more to it, and their vision will become broader.
Yeah, and uh, somehow I also think that whatever bigger picture I am talking about is something which is not even known to me, or a lot of or I think for majority of the people. We think that we know based on few books what we would have read or few podcasts what we would have heard, but I think that's not even the surface of the entire iceberg. uh, I recently I was listening to this podcast. It was a Western podcast, and they were talking about Kundalini, and I was amused because I have read a lot. I know nothing about it honestly, but based on whatever I've read, and those books are really bulky and comes from credible sources. And then heard this podcast, extremely popular podcast. All right, and the guy who is being interviewed is an authority on Kundalini, and he's a Westerner. I have got nothing against Westerners, believe me. Okay, but when I heard that perspective, I was like, whoa, dude, there is something wrong, because what he said is that we are all evolving. Human beings are evolving, right? Uh, Kundalini is an instrument which upgrades your neurobiology.
Mm.
Okay, it upgrades your neurological systems. So because we are evolving, our neurological systems are also evolving, and hence people are awakening kundalini. So more and more people will be awakening kundalini just like that. And like, what? So when I heard that, I am no expert in those sciences. I've got no idea, but I just know that this is not
Not it.
this is definitely not what Kundalini is, this is and that's why I fear that uh, somewhere we will end up confusing meditation as mindfulness only, because that's what is happening as a movement in West. uh, there is a big movement that this is mindfulness. They have changed the term meditation to mindfulness, whatever. And I believe that eventually, if we do not go deeper, we will lose the whole essence behind the whole science of meditation. That's my worry, and we will start speaking such kind of nonsense, like the nonsense what I heard about Kundalini.
I think that this comes from a saying back in childhood I used to hear, uh, and I'll give you the English translation, which is like a pot that is half filled makes the most noise. uh, right? So when it's like half knowledge is more detrimental than it's beneficial. So you have to be very careful as the source you're using to get that knowledge. And again, as you mentioned, I also am not an expert in any of these concepts. But you do know, being here, that well, there's so much more to it. And I to go to the later part of your question about not confusing meditation with mindfulness. So the way I learn meditation, right, is through this organization called Art of Living, which is founded by Sri Ravi Shankar, and he always shares these three things. That three things go together. It's seva, satsang, and sadhana. So it's if you translate it, it's seva, which is service, satsang, which is how do would you say that as
Um,
uh,
it,
a company, a good company, right, around you. And sadhana, which is your daily practice that you do, meditation or whatever it is. So they all go together. It's not just looking at meditation, it's a way of living, right? It's the art of living. So there's when you look at it from a broad perspective, it not only it's how you live, right? How you represent yourself in the society, how you impact yourself and others. So you have to look at it holistically. When you even think about meditation, there are other aspects of it that go together, and that's where you see that growth within yourself. So it's going back to what's your reference, um, and educating yourself properly so you are not pinpointing yourself and going into this way of where I see so many people doing, you refer to kundalini, and there's so much harm than benefit if you don't
yeah,
do it in the right way. And people have been doing it because it's like a buzzword. I see so many mentions of it, but it's such a delicate technique. If you in India, when they do it, you have to prepare your body physically, mentally, spiritually to even reach that state. And all this is sort of being ignored of, and you just look at this benefit of it and then try to get it. So it's not a sprint, it's a marathon to get to where there are so many layers to it. But I guess it's because people want everything in this society quick, right? They want a pill to fix everything. That's the way our mentality has been shaped. So yeah, I think that's why it's leading to all of this.
no, no, I agree with you. I think what they look at it is that at the end there is power, enormous power, right?
Yes.
And how do I get that power quickly? And they forget that the whole essence of achieving Kundalini is that you lose ego, you lose everything, That power doesn't make you powerful to conquer anyone. It makes you powerful just to conquer your own self. That's all what it is about. And not everyone is built to achieve Kundalini. You have to uh, sacrifice literally everything to even initiate that practice. You have to literally give up everything. Um, it's amazing. I mean, if you go into the Upanishads, they in the form of stories, they actually explain how you reach that. But when you understand those essences, it's terrible. A materialistic person like me, I don't imagine myself adopting that path ever, at least in this life, right? And you talked about this seva, satsang, and sadhana, and this is also there. Have you read Autobiography of an Yogi?
Oh my God, it's such a wonderful book. I have not gotten to reading it at the full, uh, but I have heard about it, and it's one of the books that's in my wish list that I have to get to and finish.
It says exactly the same thing using different
Yes,
words, but it's all
yes,
about you meditate, you think about the bigger picture all the time. Means you always
yes,
try to do good, you go out and you help people. So seva, satsang, sadhana. All right, satsang is good company. So basically
yes.
like-minded people who want to help people. So it's all about that. It's amazing how there are these similarities, and I believe that they all stem from one single origin.
Exactly. They all stem from one single source. It's, how it all dates back to our Vedanta and our scriptures, and it's all derived from that.
Now I really think this is not possible in this life, and I don't know whether there are multiple lives or not. But if there are, maybe sometime I would get chance to read those scriptures and try to understand more. I would love to. I just don't think that I'm still there to start that journey. Uh, I also wanted to pinpoint about you saying that uh, half full glass makes a lot of noise, right?
Yes.
And uh, and it's quite true from the sense that even in Eastern philosophy, if you go by our scriptures, they say that the best thing, the easiest thing to achieve anything is to know nothing. And that's just believe, close your eyes, trust one thing, go with that. That's it. And that's what bhakti yoga is. There are many ways of reaching what you call salvation. One is bhakti yoga, other is a seeker's journey, which is jnana yoga, where you say I don't know anything and you start learning, but at each point in time you still know nothing. It's you even if the glass is half full, you don't start shaking. You try to seek for more because each answer has got thousands of questions, and that's the seeker's journey. And the last is what you use uh, some things which are there in the scriptures and try to use so that you can accelerate your journey towards salvation, which is Raja Yoga, right? So these are the three ways of, I mean, moving towards the spirituality ladder and going higher up. But, anyways, I think meditation is where it starts all. Everything, it all begins with meditation. And this is where I think we are just touching one single drop of the ocean, and we are just focusing on that, which is great. We should. It means that at least we are looking at the ocean now, and we have picked up one drop. We are trying to get all the benefits from the drop. And as I said, from Western perspective, my biggest fear is that that drop becomes your ocean. You forget the rest of the part of the main ocean, right? You just focus on that particular drop, look at it as at an isolation. That's my biggest fear, nothing else. Uh, uh, but okay. Uh, so when do you conduct these workshops? How often are these sky meditation workshops?
So they are offered, there are multiple teachers across the states and the globe. Sky is being taught in 155 countries right now.
Oh,
So Art of Living is a global humanitarian organization, and their presence is in 155 countries. Sky has been taught to millions of people around the globe. So there's so many teachers offering this. If you go to the link, and I think we'll share the link with the podcast later on, where you can go and learn more about what the technique is, the science behind it, and also so many workshops offered. The way I offer it is usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I offer it twice in a month, and it's 3 hours each day. So in total, it's a 9 hours workshop. So 3 hours on Friday and three hours each on Saturday and Sunday. And then you learn this technique. And so it's not just learning this technique, as you mentioned, Subir. In this workshop that we do, it's also learning about wisdom. It talks about going back to the Vedic philosophy. There's so much wisdom that is shared on how you can be happy, how you can deal with everyday life. There's also, you learn about pranayamas, you learn about different breathing techniques, and the crux of this workshop is the sky breath meditation. There's so many other pieces to it that you learn uh, to get to the sky breath meditation, and so much is covered in this 9 hours workshop. And then you have a tool with you, or I would say a toolkit with you, that you can implement in your everyday life, and you can always go back to those tools when you face stressors in your life.
Amazing. So, are there any stories with your students that you would like to share? Somebody who never knew meditation, had challenges in his or her life, joined Sky Meditation, something miraculous happened, any such things like that?
Well, I would love to share my own personal journey
Okay.
and my experience. So as I sort of alluded to before, there came a point in my life that I became very how would I say it? Since being shy and introverted, I always had fear, a stage fear, and I would never be able to go up and uh, speak in front of a crowd, or not alone speak in front of a crowd, to just raise my hand and in a class and answer a question. It came down to that point, and I think one of the pivotal moments that led to it was I shared this in the first podcast, but I didn't go deep into it. Was I had this in my middle school, um this competition which I took a part of, and I went on stage. It was a speech competition, and I couldn't speak because I was just stunned looking at the crowd. I was thinking how they are judging me. My palms became sweaty. My heart rate increased. Uh, and from that point onwards, it become more reserved. And my mom saw this, um, and that's when she said, "No, Rohan, why don't you learn this technique?" So then I learned sky breath meditation, and just to cut to the chase, the difference in me was so enormous that I went from a kid who could not speak in front of a crowd of 60 people to giving my commencement speech last year in front of 1,000 people. Uh, and I completely say that that change in me came because of practicing sky breath meditation. So that has been an enormous impact in my life. Just one aspect of the impact. I could also share more about how it helped me, transition from India to US. But there's so many layers to that. But that's one example as to how I see the benefit on my life, which has been amazing. Like my parents, my friends, when they look at me now, they see, wow, Rohan, you have changed. Uh, and I don't know how to express that change in words. To give another example, I had one of my friends who did this technique, and he shared with me, he used to get angry. He was very impulsive and used to get angry at minor things and throw tantrums. It's just he was like that. Some people are just, anger is something happen, minor thing happens, and then they get angry. Um, he did this sky breath meditation, and he shared an example with me that, Rohan, I did this, and a couple of weeks after, they had their work evaluation, and the manager in his work evaluation at the end of the month, or I think quarterly, said that you're the only person who comes to office Monday morning with a smile. And that was such an impactful statement for him, because he was like, I wasn't that person, right? And now receiving that feedback from someone like, his boss, who's a manager, I was like, he sees the change in himself. So yeah, I mean, there's so many more encounters I can share, but those are some of the examples.
Awesome. And did you notice any health benefits post you practicing sky meditation?
So in terms of health benefits, I would say I it wasn't like I was struggling with any mental or physical disorder that I could see a before after change. So it's hard to put it to words, but from what I've seen with people, so as I gave an example to, this technique is offered to veterans, and there have been studies done how they suffer from PTSD and how it has helped them.
Wow.
There are prison programs, so in the US, it's taught to prisoners, and there have been encounters in the US and in India where Naxalites changed after doing this technique from being violent to now, adopting nonviolence. If you look at the scientific evidence that's there, I think recently a study was done on college students and in Yale, and how it helps students in this randomized control trial to deal with anxiety, to deal with stress, to deal with depression at multiple scales, and how it improved students on all of those scales. So many health benefits. I think these are benefits of meditation, of doing it, and they looked at multiple meditation techniques in this randomized control trial and saw the biggest impact with sky breath meditation.
Oh, wow. So the biggest impact actually came from sky
Yes.
meditation.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. I think, yeah, I know it's repetitive, but the slowing down part is the key, which works with all the meditation. It helps you flush out all the toxins and the blockages and allows all the energies to flow through your body and things like that. And in that context, I think that, you know what, people who are living in Canada or in the east coast of US, or I mean, at least Boston, which is nearer to Canada, or any of the European countries where it's colder, there they have a natural advantage that the body processes slow down, not because of what they are doing, but because of their location. And there has been enormous study on it. If you go to PubMed, look at how with altitude your longevity increases. It's amazing. So as you go up in terms of height, where you live, you have a direct impact on how long you live. And maybe that explains why a lot of these people who, the rishis and all, they used to go up in the Himalayas.
That's what I was thinking about. I was like, wait, could there be a correlation as to why they would go to
The monks
Himalayas?
in
Yes.
Tibet, they don't live. They are not located in some plains. They are actually located very high up in the mountains, and they. I mean, it's amazing how things get, and that explains why Europeans live so long. Not because a lot of people have had tried tying it to Mediterranean food, but then the Japanese were also living very long. So they tried saying that Japanese food is also great. But then the moment an Indian eats Japanese, he gets diabetes and everything. So those correlations don't work. But this is one correlation which I've seen is great. So what I mean to say is that uh, if you come to a cold city like, let's say, Boston from India, you come with a lot of baggage of stress because you are moving, and as I said, there is physical, mental, and genetic stress, which is going to create a lot of problems. But because you are moving to a cold climate, lot of this is taken care of because of the climate itself, because it's super cold. But still, it's not completely taken off. You have huge amount of challenges, and sky breathing to me looks to be a great technique which, if we adopt, can help us still navigate through a lot of the stressors. The climate is going to help, of course, but because it's a different country altogether, it's going to be a big problem. But we need some techniques like this at least for common man, because most of the peoples are not aware of these things. They need, yeah, you tell me what to do so that my stress is low, I can live long, it's not, there are no health problems. Sky meditation looks to be great. Yeah. And uh, we take a lot of these. I remember we had this conversation earlier where we talked about this. We take a lot of these examples from nature, where whichever animal is faster, those animals die earlier. Tortoise, the slowest animal, lives the longest. You have got hummingbird, which flutters the wings so fast, dies super early anyways, right? So it all boils down to what you have been saying, that meditation can be the starting point towards slowing you down and then activating your vagal system, the parasympathetic system, repair your body, remove all the toxins, and then move you towards a healthy life. Did I say anything wrong when I said that?
No, that was completely true. And all, just to, I feel as we are closing the conversation, I would just like to share this three, four lines that I read. I think they're also taken from our scriptures. It says that music is food for our emotions, knowledge is food for our intellect, and meditation is food for our soul.
Wow. I think those are great lines to end today's podcast. Uh, I'm sure this podcast is going to be extremely helpful for a lot of people. I know myself. I try to deviate the entire subject by going into a lot of this health related things and deeper things about meditation, but you as somebody getting interviewed did a marvelous job in terms of letting the audience know that they have a technique which can help them cope up the pressures of the modern world. And sky meditation is a great technique. So to the audience, I would like to say, we are going to put down the link to the workshops which Rohan conducts. And I hope that after seeing this podcast, you will be motivated to join those workshops and help yourself and your family to manage the stress and the challenges that you face in today's world. With this, I would like to end the podcast, but before that, I always do this with all my episodes. How did you like today's conversation?
Oh, for
Yes.
me as Subir, I think you mentioned in the end that you tend to deviate, but I think those deviations add so much flavor to the podcast and the topic itself. I think it goes back to covering, not looking at things from a narrow scope and being more holistic. And I love having those conversations with you because I learned so much from your experience and the things you have read. I know I mean you say you. I think the only part you're missing now is the experience because you have everything else with you. So I'm looking forward to a time where you get to practice it, and then I can ask you this question as to how was the experience. But I had a wonderful time. Thank you, Subir, for inviting me and having these conversations.
Thank you, Rohan. Thank you for being a part of the House of Royce. Thank you.